Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Molnar here. Thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather Wintry and Tropical Edition. Yeah, we're still dealing with that tropical wave moving through the Lesser Antilles, eventually Jamaica, and meeting up with the tail end of a front right over Central America in the next 5 days. We'll get into all the details along with a big, huge storm system across the eastern part of the country that's going to fire up from eastern Texas, the Mississippi Valley, spreading heavy rain, wind, damaging winds, severe weather, and snow, changing to snow on the backside as this storm pulls up into the northeast. Let's get into it. Our winter storm outlook. Speaking of winter storm outlook, if you haven't checked out my winter 2023-24 outlook, it's a link in the description down below as well as at the end of this video. So check that out if you haven't already. I go over the entire winter, what I think is going to happen. So here we go for North America. You can see low pressure moving up here across Canada. This is not going to be the phasing factor with this southern stream branch. So you have this initial low moving up here across the southern plain. So essentially what you have going on here is a lot of warm air on the east side. Let me just back this up because the origin of this low is right over central Oklahoma as we head into Friday afternoon. So that's important because we're going to have a little bit of snow on the backside here in the plains, especially northwest, maybe into Chicago area, we'll have to see. But then a secondary wave of low pressure develops here. Let me just zoom in here so you can actually see what's going on. There's going to be some severe weather here in the parts of the south too. So that's going to be a big concern. Wind damage, potential tornadoes as well, large hail. And you can see what's going on here. The European model is not really honing in on exploding this secondary low until about later on Sunday here. So here it is during this time frame. Let me just stop it right here. This is 10 p.m. on the 10th. So this is essentially Sunday evening, Sunday night. So this is where we start to get that wave of low pressure. This actually kicks the chances of heavier snow further east, much further east than where they were previously. And I'll show you on the GFS momentarily from precipitation depiction here, as well as the other European model output. You can see, there's going to be some convection moving through New York City, all the way up into parts of New England as we head through the overnight hours into early Monday morning. It does shut off the precipitation rather quickly, though, as we head throughout the day on Monday. So it will be very brisk, a tremendous amount of wind here, but then high pressure really starts to build in here really quickly. You can see return to quieter weather. And look at that. That's by December 12th here. We're looking at a very quiet weather pattern, with the exception for a little clipper up here in parts of Quebec as we head towards the 13th and the 14th. We do have a weak system that will be moving into the Pacific Northwest and southwestern Canada here as well. And look at what's organizing here over Texas. This is where the return flow, we're going to see some tropical moisture flowing up on the west and southwest side of this high pressure system. And you know that's probably going to produce snow up here further north. So we're going to have to watch out for that. And that system really starts to conglomerate together from the four corners as some energy moves out here into the plains. And we could be seeing a major severe weather outbreak as we head towards the 16th into the 17th here. Look at this. We could be looking at tremendous amount of rain. And on the north side of this could actually be heavy snow. Look at this out here. What is that? We're actually going to cover that potentially in the tropics. Yeah. Could we have some sort of subtropical system? It's possible. We'll explore that possibility here. And look at here in the Pacific Northwest remaining pretty active. And this system wants to do the classic Colorado low thing. I know back east, those of you that want the snow, this is not a favorable track for you. So as we head towards the middle part of the month, towards the 17th, that does not look very favorable. So here we go with our GFS. We're starting off, there's our precipitation depiction here. So there it is out west. Look at all that snow just blasting into the Pacific Northwest. Across central Canada is there as well with this northern plain system. But here we go. This is the evolution of our eastern storm. So you see it initializing over Oklahoma. Extreme eastern Texas here, you can get some heavy rain and storms, but it's going to quickly congeal here towards the Mississippi River Valley. You see that first low pressure? If I back this up, it's actually not looking like at this point this first low is actually very weak. So there's not a lot, the cold air is hanging back here. So this is where the snow is going to be instead, but it's not going to be, tremendously heavy. So this first low actually isn't producing a whole lot of snow. However, look across the south here. We're going to be dealing with what's going to be a severe weather outbreak. There's going to be a line of convection developing. This line of convection, I would not be surprised if it heads all the way up towards eastern Ohio, western Pennsylvania, Panhandle of Florida. All these areas could actually see, some damaging wind with some of these convective type elements that develop with this system as we head into particularly Sunday here. So here it is, the 9th at 7 p.m. It's already moving into Ohio. And then there, northwestern Pennsylvania, 10 p.m. on Saturday. So this is going to be rather interesting. Watch as we continue to go overnight Saturday into Sunday morning. Let's just back that up for a second. There's 4 a.m., 1 p.m. So I'm trying to get it here so you can actually see the precipitation evolution. 4 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. The back edge is coming through Cleveland. So you're probably wondering, okay, previous model runs showed a change to snow. Well, that's actually occurring much further east now. You can see this is by 1 a.m. on Monday morning, December 11th. So we start to get the changeover through the Appalachians, eastern Ohio, but the heaviest accumulations look to fall in this region now. So not particularly Pittsburgh. You usually get mist here, but you're still going to see some wet snow. Keep in mind, ground temperatures are going to be warm, so you're not going to see the accumulations, the model's output. I'll show you those snowfall amounts momentarily, but here we go. Let me see if I can stop it there. Look at this, 7 a.m. This is actually, the back edge of this precipitation is moving pretty quick here. You can see burst of heavy snow mixing out from Wilkes-Barre, Scranton to Binghamton, Utica, Albany, Montreal. It's going to be quick, though, because this is a fast-moving system. It's not being blocked to the northeast here. And look at the lake effect response starts to kick in just northeast of Cleveland there. So you pick up a couple inches of lake. But yeah, there it is. Northern New England getting clipped at 10 a.m. Look how quickly that moves out. So this is by 7 p.m. Look at where the low is. This thing is booking it. So by any stretch of the imagination, it's not looking like a tremendous amount of snow at this point, especially with the ground temperatures the way they are. Now, here's that next system here across South Texas. All that tropical moisture is going to be funneling. This is towards the 13th here. If I can actually get there we go. So here we go. You continue to see this tropical moisture plume northward here. This is where things are going to get rather interesting here across the panhandle of Texas. And as we continue to go in time, look at that. There's going to be a tropical return here. And this is going to meet up with some cold air in northwest Texas here, the panhandle. And that is going to spell our wintry trouble. So let's continue to go out here in time. You can see how this kind of just hangs out the 14th, 15th, 16th, and then we get a severe weather outbreak here across Texas. And that starts to move east. It does weaken. It pretty much occludes to the north. It becomes a long, drawn-out area of low pressure as it moves across the Ohio Valley here. And this is by the 18th. Once again, this is not where you want. If you want snow, you don't want to see the high out here like this because it's literally on the east side of this trough. It's pumping up all this moisture. The snow is actually going to be up here in Canada, northern Ontario, and central Quebec. That's where you're going to have to go to see the snow. And as we continue to go further out here, it looks like a carbon copy of Sunday into Monday system here. Maybe some severe weather all the way up into parts of Pennsylvania here, if this track holds true. And look at that, very little snow on the backside. This is kind of crazy. Are we heading into Christmas here with the non-white Christmas? It actually looks like that could happen. And for severe weather, I wanted to show you the composite overlay here from Ohio all the way to the Gulf Coast. Look at this. This is 7 p.m. on Saturday evening. So we could be getting some strong, see these higher cloud tops here and precipitation output. This is where we could start to see some stronger gusty thunderstorms. Those actually push all the way up here into New York State as well. And we should see a solid squall line forming from eastern Ohio here all the way down to the Gulf Coast. And this will take shape into what could be a severe weather outbreak here for parts of the South. A big solid squall line with potential for individual supercells developing out ahead of it. In the Northeast, it's going to be more confined to see if we can get any convection to bring down those winds from above. But look at this as we head. Let me just back this up just a hair here. Look at this. It's a system that's moving so fast. So that's part of the problem, but it really starts to get its act together 7 p.m. Sunday. And look at that. the squall line's moving fast, so you know there's going to be a lot of wind brought down to the surface here. And that, look how fast that moves. That's by 7 p.m. on Monday. It is booking well out to sea here. So if we want to take a look at the European model here, the latest run showing the precipitation output on this product, you can see there's that squall line moving through the eastern part of the country. This is Sunday evening into Monday night. There it is, that secondary low pressure developing right over the Hudson Valley, moving right up eastern Pennsylvania. And there is that rain changing to heavy wet snow on the backside as we head into the early morning hours of Monday, but that's quickly moving to the east. Total liquid equivalent precipitation here on the European model is going to take us through the weekend into early next week. This is a lot of precipitation. Increasingly concerned about some flooding potential here, flash flooding potential here, especially in the red zone here. This is where you're going to see over potentially 2.5, 3.5 inches of rain, closer to 4 inches in these yellow areas here where it's kind of tinting yellow. So here in the Pacific Northwest as well. So here we go as we get into the Northeast here. So yeah, this takes us through about early, Saturday night, early Sunday morning. There's the rain moving into parts of Ohio. And then look what starts to take shape as that secondary low really starts to explode over eastern Pennsylvania, eastern New York, and New England. This is where a lot of the precipitation is going to be falling. This is a bit concerning from the I-81 corridor here on eastward here, I should say. 2 to 2.5 inches of solid liquid equivalent. So as we use our European model to show snowfall output, because I think the system has a really good idea on snowfall here, this takes us through 12Z on Monday morning, so right around 8 o'clock in the morning here. So you can see it's mainly confined, on the backside, higher elevations here. This is where we're going to see, especially above 1,500, 2,000 feet, upwards of 6 inches or more. But I think most areas will be 1 to 3 inches in the valleys because of the warm ground, and 2 to 4 inches on the hilltops, particularly above 1,200 to 1,500 feet on up here. So here's our GFS output in the Northeast. Yeah, it's pretty similar to kind of what I'm thinking here through Sunday night and Monday morning. Most of these areas, 1 to 3 inches, maybe close to 2 to 4 inches, especially above, say, 1,200 feet. And there's the mountains of West Virginia picking up close to 6 inches as well. All right, so here's our European product that lets us go out a little bit further on the previous European 12Z run. Yeah, it doesn't really add too much beyond 12Z, 8 a.m. on Monday morning. So there it is. Yeah, there's a sharp cutoff here from the Poconos, Catskills, eastward to the Hudson Valley in New England here. So essentially what you're looking at is very quick accumulations behind this system as the rain changes to snow. The whole thing behind this, though, is just going to be moving so fast. So by the time the ground temperatures do start to cool, the snow will have moved out. And there's one thing I wanted to show you here with the European model. Look at the wind field here at 850 millibars. So this is about, a mile or so up. And these jet stream winds, you can see this is going to be Sunday. So you have that initial shot there across New York and Pennsylvania, that red area right up in the 55. This is knots, so 60, 65 mile per hour. Any convection, look at these yellow zones. This is upwards of 60, 70 knots. This could be getting into any of these winds that are able to mix down easily 40, 50 miles per hour near the ground surface, but you could get gusts over 60, 65 miles per hour in any convective type elements that do develop here. So look at that. That is right around midnight, Sunday night into Monday morning. That is a tremendous amount of wind there moving through eastern New England, 75 to 80 knots. If there's any convection, a squall line, any of that sort of thing, you're going to have some serious winds coming down to the surface here. So our outlook here for the upper air pattern. Yeah, there's that massive ridge developing for the weekend. Big inferno, raging furnace ridge here, as I call it. Replaced by a trough as we head into Monday, the first part of the week. But look how quickly the ridge just builds right back in. Yeah, if you're looking for a white Christmas this December, this is not the pattern you really want to see. There's just too much ridging here into the eastern part of the country, and that actually heads through December 17th here. So let's go out on the CFS run. So let's get to about December here, there's the the ridges continuing across these. We do see a kind of a mini trough here towards December 21st, but you know, as we continue to head towards, wow, this is pretty interesting, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. If this does materialize, we could have quite a wintry pattern developing here towards Christmas week. Look at that. This actually is kind of the pattern you want to see here as we head into Christmas week if you want snow. That is quite a pattern. Now, we'll see if this actually materializes. CFS has been kind of grabbing a hold of this every so often. I do caution you, though, because by New Year's, look at the ridge developing. So look at there across the south, though. This actually, right here, this actually looks kind of similar to classic El Nino really starting to kick in. Massive storminess here across the south. So here we go with the European model for your tropical update. Look at this, the tropical wave moving through the Lesser Antilles, bringing you some gusty winds and some heavy rains. We'll get into those rainfall amounts momentarily here, but you see throughout the 9th into the 10th here, as we move into the weekend, that area of low pressure actually moves. It's a very weak low. It's more like a tropical wave. Here is that base of that front moving into the Gulf of Mexico here, but watch what happens here. These two are actually going to meet up as we head later on next week. Look at here it is, right around the 11th. You start to see a moisture increase. So let me just back that up. It moves through. There it is. So right around the 10th into the 11th, it is going to be moving fast. So Jamaica, you could get on the act of it here towards the 10th, and then the Cayman Islands, the 11th here. But look at this, just starts to conglomerate over Belize, Honduras, these areas. Tremendous amount of rain expected, and we'll go over those rainfall amounts momentarily. It's not looking like a very good situation. Now watch this. As I continue to go in time, that energy starts to displace northward here towards the central Gulf of Mexico. Right in this area, this general area right here. This could be interesting for South Florida as well. From the Yucatan Peninsula to South Florida, this is kind of that tail end of that front combining forces with that tropical wave. We might be looking at some very heavy rain here across South Florida, and look how this kind of congeals here, moving across the Bahamas. We could have a low trying to close off across the Bahamas. Will it be subtropical in nature? We'll have to wait and see, but this is pretty interesting. If you're in the Bahamas, South Florida, any of these areas, definitely stay tuned. And even over here towards Bermuda, look at this. This starts to take on a weird shape, more kind of indicative of a subtropical system. All right, here we go with the GFS. Let's take a look and see what's going on here compared to the European model. There's our area of tropical wave storminess here across the Lesser Antilles. That's going to continue to just kind of hang out the next couple days here into the 9th, into the 10th. You see the trade winds kind of blow it towards the north coast of South America. We start to get the tail end of that front. Where is our wave? This is what the GFS has been doing. It's been literally losing our wave into the north coast of South America. Nevertheless, the GFS is still indicating the southern part of this front. Look at it. It kind of explodes from Belize down to Honduras. So we're going to see some very heavy rain here. And look how that kind of pushes to the north here into the central Gulf. So it looks like something is going to materialize here. Whether it remains cold core or becomes something maybe subtropical, it remains to be seen. If it's this far north, like the GFS is indicating, then there's pretty much no chance this is going to be a tropical. Water temperatures have cooled off so much here into the Gulf, and the wind shear is just terrible. But nevertheless, GFS is also indicating that heavy rain from the Cayman Islands all the way up to parts of South Florida and the Yucatan Peninsula, over through the Bahamas, right around the 16th into the 17th, pushing due eastward here as the westerlies really kick in. And then look at the Caribbean as we head towards Christmas week. Oh, look at that. If you have vacation Christmas week in the Caribbean, it looks beautiful, although there will be a few showers here hanging out around the Jamaica area. So here we go with rainfall totals here across the Caribbean. So watch this as we get our tropical waves starting to move across the Caribbean as we head late weekend into next week. We get some rain, heavy rain moving around Jamaica here, upwards of 50 millimeters. Could be close, you know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches of rain. But the big story is going to be the tremendous amount of rain that really starts to fall right around the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th here. Yeah, from Nicaragua especially coastal Honduras here all the way up to Belize, we could be seeing upwards of 150 millimeters, 4 to 6 inches of rain. That's a crazy amount of rain. And then look at that. That energy is going to head up across the Florida Keys, where we could see 100 to 150 millimeters here. And then look at the central northern Bahamas here, 150 to 200 millimeters. Yeah, that's a lot of rain. Could be looking upwards of 4 to 8 inches of rain with this potential energy. Now, as we head into the Eastern Caribbean here, there's the Southern Lesser Antilles, Trinidad, Tobago, all the way up to the Central Lesser Antilles, about 60 to 90 millimeters of rainfall. As we head through the weekend here, that's a good solid, soaking 2.5, 3 inches of rain. And then we kind of get a drawing trend, although up towards the Bahamas there, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. These areas here could see upwards of, say, 40 to 60 millimeters. You're talking about 1.5 inches, 2 inches of rain. All right, so as we head out into the Western Pacific here, one thing I want to take a detour here towards the South Pacific, toward Cyclone Jasper. This one is quite gonna pack a punch here. Yeah. So here we go. If we go out in time here, watch what happens. It's going to weaken just slightly and then potentially increase again. It will slowly weaken, though, eventually as it heads towards the coastline here. This is the 11th into northeastern part, right near Cairns here. So it could be making landfall. It does come down quite a bit. That is good news. It will be weakening, but it's quite a cyclone at this point. So this is more in the December 12th, December 13th timeframe. It's unfortunate that you're going to be dealing with this, but thankfully it will be weakening. So as we head into the Western Pacific here, let's see. There's not actually much happening. A European model is showing kind of smooth sailing now. The models were picking up on something last time I did, a couple days ago when I did a video update. Intertropical convergence zone does look pretty active here, but look at this. This actually isn't too bad. You do get some heavy rains across the South Philippines here. This is towards December 17th, but you know what? The European has kind of lost that trend of blowing up a massive typhoon. Let's take a look at the GFS. So here's our typhoon, or I should say cyclone. This is the South Pacific, not the Western Pacific, Jasper. Look at the GFS taking it in as well. Although the GFS is strengthening it just before making landfall in pretty much the same location as the European model here. Look at that. Heading inland. Yeah, that could be devastating. If the GFS solution is right, which I'm kind of more on board with the European model, then that could be interesting. Now look here. The GFS does not want to let go of this system. Now, this is 171 hours out. Let's just back this up. This still could end up being a phantom low that these GFS model ensembles typically just throw out here. But we'll digress here. As we head towards the 14th into the 15th into the 16th, look at this. It does approach. I have to hand it to the GFS. It's been pretty stubborn with bringing in a major typhoon into central Philippines. I don't know if I'm really buying it at this point. That's pretty far north you can get a typhoon this far north this time of year, but look how, if it does get this far north, look at how the westerlies, it just gets caught up in the westerlies and shears it completely apart. And then there's another system developing out here by the 17th. And don't go anywhere, I just have more weather here in just a moment. Check out my affiliate here, these awesome maps. Have a look at this.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
All right, temperature-wise here, if we take a look at your Friday TGIF, this does not look like the first full week of December here. This is like 50s and 60s. Look at the 70s here across Texas, close to 80. it just looks like a raging furnace here across the eastern part of the country. And as we head into Saturday here, you can see the big surge of warm air, 60s all the way up here into Ohio, western New York, western Pennsylvania, 70s blasting all the way up the mid-Mississippi River Valley. But look at the cold air filtering in behind. So Texas, 40s in the Panhandle, all the way to the 70s here, San Antonio to Houston. Look at the cold air. Well, if you can call that really cold, it's actually pretty temperate. Mild, you would call it. Could be a lot colder for this time of year. Even Sunday, yeah, temperatures will be crashing into the northeast as this front moves through, rain changing to snow Sunday night into Monday. But here as we head towards Monday, December 11th here. So as you can see, what's going on here, we got the return flow. That's our next system kind of setting up across Texas here. Big cold air plume trying to move south here, but not having much success. As we head towards Tuesday, yeah, more of the same here into Wednesday. Really, the only cold air you can really call cold is northern New England here, 20s and 30s. Extended outlook from hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. Look at this. Friday into Saturday, yeah, it's going to feel spring-like. Temperatures soaring into the 50s by Saturday, but watch out Sunday. That cold front's or warm air push towards 60. But watch out, it's going to come at a price. Winds are going to start howling out of the southwest, 15 to 25 mile per hour, gusts up to 50. Maybe the potential for afternoon, evening thunderstorms. Then the rain changes to snow overnight Sunday night and Monday. 1 to 3 inches potential in the valleys, and then 2 to 4 inches potential on the hilltops above 1,200 feet. Now, the big thing is the ground temperatures will still be pretty warm, so I don't expect major accumulations, mainly on the grassy surfaces. It'll be very slushy and wet. Wind will be howling as well. And then a warming trend for next week. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also at Weather Northeastern, also at Hurricane Northeastern, and also at Susquehanna Weather. Also Twitter at Weather Eastern, and you can visit me at MeteoMark.com. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to check out my winter weather outlook for 2023-24, and link in the description down below, as well as my affiliate, Trilogy Maps.